You're welcome back to Business 24 here on IBrandTV, and I've been talking with a recruiting and staffing experts. By the way, that's the topic, recruiting and staffing. Then, of course, we are looking at hiring the right talent. My guest today, just if you're just joining, is a team building team coach and experiential learning expert. He's also the MD of 361 Degrees Limited. His name is Kolade. Kolade, we're back on it again.
Yeah.
Yes. How does an organization's structural state affect recruitment and retainership, is it? Retention.
Retainership. Well, retention. Retention. Yes.
Retention of staff.
How does an organizational structure? So when you're talking about structure, you're talking about the design of the workplace.
That is it.
So in that light, I will now begin to talk about something a lot of people would like me to talk about.
Please, let's hear it.
Toxic workplace and non-toxic workplace. There are some places that where you work at, you literally have to do prayer meeting in the morning for you to get into the workplace.
I think it happens virtually in all the organizations today.
You know, so there are offices where you go to, and so maybe because I work more, so even though you were giving me credit for recruiting, yes, I do recruiting, but it's just part of what I do, so that the HR people will not come and look for me in their business.
You're selling your business indirectly. That's a smart one. Go ahead.
But how does structure affect retention? I won't just only stop that, but I'll say let's also focus on how structure allows you to pull in what we call the IPO, which is a short form from high potential or high performing staff.
Okay.
On the job. So let's break it down to the back.
Okay.
What will determine the structure of a workplace are two key things. Number one is the business culture. Number two is the business climate. Two different things. There's a culture of the workplace, and there is the climate of the workplace. So that means you can have a good culture that is designed for the organogram and the running of how the business should go, but the climate for people to perform in the job can be wrong. But you can not, but most times when you get the culture wrong, the climate is wrong. Most of the time. So, and then one of the things we do when we work with organizations is that we want to identify what sort of culture do you need to attain peak performance, or what kind of culture are you currently running that has gotten you to where you are? Do you need to tweak it? If you tweak it, what are the people who are the best fit for the roles that you want on the job? This is very key. So that means that if, for example, you are say a sales business, I'm just trying to break it down in the simplest form. If you're a sales business, then you will be doing yourself a lot of disservice if the bulk of the people who are in your business structure are process-based people, or people who are necessarily into hard facts and figures. Why? Because you need those things as a part. They're not supposed to be the key reasons or key indices for pulling in those kind of talents at the workplace. So it will be pretty much tricky if, for example, we use IBrand as a client.
Okay.
And you say you want to recruit on-air personalities or anchors or news anchor or program anchors who are shy. You are frustrating yourself even before you start, because you spend the bulk of the time trying to convince them about why it is just you now on the screen. Just do this thing. Whereas all you need is the level of energy, the enthusiasm, the excitement.
But by the way, talking about shyness here, there is no place for it. If one thinks that one can deliver, come up as an on-air personality, or is a screen, a presenter, television, or radio, as the case may be, shyness doesn't have a place. But go ahead.
So I'm being okay. So, but since you have been the one, but you are the one that is what the Yoruba will say. You are pulling my leg.
Really?
Fabulous. So I'll literally,
I'll make sure I don't pull it out.
I'll literally try and answer in the context of that.
Okay.
So not going outside the conversation, but still speaking to it. The human nature, by design, has three sides.
Okay.
So you have your what we call in profiling your function part, you have your crisis part, then you have your relax part. So your function part is the part that you show to people just because you function. That's why you and I, no matter how radical we think we are, we will never go to a place of worship wearing a swimming trunk or in a swimwear or a bikini, no matter the level of boldness you have, because we give some form of reverence to a place of worship. I don't know whether I'm making sense.
You are.
So the same thing will now be that the CEO of, say, a multinational shows up to office on Monday morning and he has a beach shirt on and a pair of shorts and is supposed to address people at a boardroom. What do you think will happen? So that means, like we normally would say, that when you buy a chicken and you bring it home for the first time, what does it do? It stands on one leg until it becomes raw. Then it picks an attitude. So I'm saying that to say that, yes, you can actually be shy. Yes, sir.
Okay, this is what you've been driving at all this while.
Yeah. You can actually be shy. You can be a shy person, but the function of what you need to do determines that you need to talk to people. So for the function of what you need to do at the time, you take up the role, you endure and you take it on, and once that thing is done, you go back into who you are.
That is acting.
Not acting. Don't let us use the word acting. I would say the word, you are functioning for that role. You are functioning for the role that you need to do.
Can that be described as having a dual personality?
So you are even pushing me further and further into places I'm running away from. But yeah, so okay, the classic example that I would use, that I think most people are familiar with, is the James Bond analogy, 007.
What's that, please?
Okay. When you meet the James Bond character, his name is James Bond. But when he needs to go on his missions and save the world, it's 007.
Okay. Okay, that's acting.
Acting, not acting. He's standing up for a role. It's the same thing for people who are superhero connoisseur. They will also appreciate that when Superman has the big S on his chest, it's Superman. When he puts the glasses on, he becomes Clark Kent. So would you say that he's acting? No. He needs to wear the glasses to be human.
Okay.
So that they can relate with human. But to save the world, he needs to pull the glasses off, show the biggest on his chest, and fly and save the world. So what I'm saying now is that even for talents and people, we do that all the time. For example, you are not like this when you're in the house with your family and your children.
Of course, no. I mean, in a more relaxed position and can put on anything. I don't care.
And don't forget, I spoke about two roles. I said the function, the stress, and the relax. That's your relaxed role. You don't need to impress anybody because that's family.
Yeah.
But when you come here, you have to be professional.
Okay.
You have to attain a certain role. So are you saying you are also acting?
I'm just living my life.
You're doing your job.
Yeah, sure.
So the same thing happens when we talk, and then don't forget that the question we're still going back to is about structure and how we affect retention or retention of staff or what it takes for staff to leave. So that means that if you are in an organization, and like I said about the culture and the culture and the climate is counterproductive to you, which also now means this, number one, which is one thing I ask, why go to a job that is anti the value you stand for as a human? For e.g., if one of the biggest value you have as an individual is respect, and then you are working for in an organization where people curse people, call names, and disrespect, what will naturally happen to you? Something about your value will fight consistently. I'm not supposed to be here. What are these people doing here?
To resist it.
You resist it.
Yeah.
First psychologically before you begin to act it out in person. So that means one of the big problems of every business, of every organization, is to make sure that the structure works. So if you want, for example, identify the kind of people you want on your business. When you get them, make sure that all it takes for them to perform is there. Why does a Google office ideally adopt having play areas? Why? Because they believe because the culture says that creativity comes from a place of relaxation and fun.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's the work culture. So what stops a place like IBrand from having what they call those hibernating cells, where you can go in, sleep, shut it, and you can have a deep sleep for less than 10 minutes?
Is it something like for recreation purposes?
It's for recreation. I know organizations here in Nigeria that have it. It's like a pod. You just go in, shut it yourself, put the plugs in, and you sleep off. It knocks you out.
But we don't need to have all that, to enjoy the same recreational pleasure. We have places around, so that could be high. I'm talking about IBrand.
I can understand. It's money something. If you can't afford it, then you can do something there. At some point, I had a client who was a Chinese client. They have a business here in Nigeria. I think it was a huge culture shock for me. So I'd gone to pitch, and then I came in. I think my appointment, I ran late for my appointment for about 25 minutes. As the time I got in, and I called the reception, I said, that I will have to wait in Nigeria here on the island. That it was their nap time. It was strange to me. I'm a bloody Nigerian. Who born you well to go to work and sleep? I'm paying your salary. And what happened shocked me. Right there, I noticed that even the receptionist lady, pulled the chair back, laid down, and began to nap. And the dude next, I looked back next, almost everybody, a lot of people were sleeping. When I look at the time, he was one something. I said, wow, this is village people. That's a culture they've instilled. And I asked, and I said, oh no, that's normal, that's what they do every day. Like, work where you come to sleep. I was like, wow.
Very interesting story. There is no doubt about it. Kola, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
In fact, I love to hear more of this story, but that is for another day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's the way the program today has been on IBrandTV. It's been Business 24, and I've been talking with Kolade, who did justice to all the questions put across to him. The pleasure of presentation has been mine. Hope to see you again when next we come back for another edition of Business 24. Till then, goodbye.